My name is Pierre Leclerc, which means Peter Clark in English. I am the current chairman of the Genealogical Society of the Yonne in Northern Burgundy. This lecture is about various families in Northern Burgundy originating from Lithuania, Byelorussia and Ukraine. As a prologue, I have to say a few words about the Grand Duchy of Lithuania, Northern Burgundy and my genealogical society. The Grand Duchy of Lithuania comprised at first the current states of Lithuania and Byelorussia from 1240 to 1795, and then a significant part of present-day Ukraine from 1353 to 1569. In 1569, the Grand Duchy ceded Ukraine to the Kingdom of Poland within the new political framework of the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, created to reinforce the two countries against Russian aggressive policy. The Commonwealth finally disappeared totally in 1795 after the first and second partitions of its territory in 1772 and 1793 between Russia, Prussia and Austria. Northern Burgundy is what we call in French le département de Lyon, which is a French political district created in 1790 during the French Revolution. Its territory is sometimes called Lower Burgundy, and its main town is the city of Auxerre, founded by a Gaulish tribe before 52 BC on the banks of the river Yonne. You may see on the left 3 pictures of Auxerre. In Auxerre there is an old graveyard called St. Amatus Cemetery. It contains the tombs of 2 national heroes of the former Grand Duchy of Lithuania, namely Maurycy Mochnacki, born in western Ukraine, who started the Polish insurrection of 1830 in Warsaw against the Russians and their repressive colonial policy, and Konstanty Barczewski, born in Lithuania, who started the same insurrection in Vilnius against the same Russian oppressors. They both died in Auxerre as Polish refugees. Konstanty Barczewski is still buried in Auxerre nowadays in 2023. On the other hand, the Polish government decided to repatriate Maurycy Mochnacki's body to Warsaw. I attended the farewell ceremony on the 26th of November 2021, first at the cemetery and then at St. Genevieve's Church in Auxerre. Maurycy Mochnacki's tomb in Auxerre is still a Polish memorial. In Auxerre, you can find too the head office of my genealogical society, called in French La Société Généalogique de Lyon. You can see on the right the coat of arms of this non-profit learned society with its French motto, Nous gravissons le temps, which means we clamber back in time. This motto indicates that my society aims at gathering its members around an ambitious but strenuous collective work on genealogy. This long-term collective work, which I launched forth in 1984, consists in recording in a general index all the marriage entries that can be found in Roman Catholic and Reformed church books before 1793 and in civil registers after 1792. We finished the job 15 years ago for the whole period prior to 1793. Almost 380,000 church marriages have been recorded by my society. We continue this collective work now in civil registers. We have recorded so far more than 180,000 civil marriages from 1793 to 1922. I used this huge marriage index in order to find out all the people from Lithuania, Byelorussia and Ukraine who married in Northern Burgundy in the course of time. Before 1793, not a single Pole from Poland, Lithuania, Byelorussia or Ukraine ever married in Northern Burgundy. But a Polish prince lived there from 1771 to 1775 in the castle of Szolmo, which belonged to him until he left France forever in 1791. This prince was Xavier of Saxony, the maternal uncle of King Louis XVI of France and the second son of King Augustus III of Poland, Grand Duke of Lithuania and Prince-Elector of Saxony. His daughters Beatrix and Kunigunde were both born in the castle of Szolmo. The first emigration wave to Northern Burgundy from Lithuania, Byelorussia and Ukraine began after 1792 during the French Revolution and the First French Empire. The First French Republic declared war on Austria in 1792, 1 year before the second partition of the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth and 3 years before its third and final partition. The war lasted for 22 years, from 1792 to 1814, with finally no territorial gain for France. The main victors, in fact, were the Russians, as you may see on the maps. They wrested Finland from the Swedes in 1809, they wrested Bessarabia from the Turks in 1812, and they swallowed most of the Polish-Lithuanian state in 1793, 1795, and again in 1813. After the conflict, some prisoners of war remained in Northern Burgundy. Most of them were former subjects of the Austrian Empire, including Belgians, Czechs, Hungarians, Romanians and Ukrainians from the province of Galicia. Only one prisoner from Lithuania married in Northern Burgundy. His name in French was Prokop Druze. He was born about 1772 in Vilnius, Lithuania, and his parents were Jacques Druze and Françoise Picasse, according to French documents. He was captured by the French in 1795 while serving in the Austrian army in the besieged fortress of Luxembourg. He was sent by the French to the viticultural village of Chablis in Northern Burgundy, where he began working as a stonemason. He married 3 times in Northern Burgundy. In 1798, he married in Chablis Marie-Véronique Beugnier. In 1809, he married in Hainaut Marie-Anne Giraud, and in 1824, he married in Beaumont Julie Leroy. He finally died in Beaumont in 1858 at the age of 86, and he was the father of 13 children. As far as Byelorussia is concerned, only one prisoner married in Northern Burgundy. His name in French was Etienne Jaworski. He was born about 1767 in Shklov, Byelorussia, and his parents were Jean-Baptiste Jaworski and Catherine Mayarovsky, according to French documents. He was captured by the French in Germany while serving in the Prussian army. He was sent by the French to Villeneuve-la-Guillard in Northern Burgundy, where he began working as a servant. In 1796, he married in Villeneuve-la-Guillard Louise Dessulot. He could sign his name in Russian. He did not use at the end of his family name the Bielorussian letter I, but the Russian one looking like an inverted letter N. In 1804, he became a wig maker in Villeneuve-la-Guillard. He finally died in Villeneuve-la-Guillard in 1822 at the age of 55, and he was the father of 7 children. The great majority of the so-called Polish prisoners of war in Northern Burgundy came from Ukraine. 11 of them came from the Ukrainian province of Galicia that had been annexed to Austria in 1772. The other 2 came from the Ukrainian province of Podolia that had been annexed to Russia in 1793. They all married French women in Northern Burgundy in various locations. They were all illiterate. Their family names, therefore, have been registered in France with somewhat Frenchified spellings like Krasco, Millière, Sibrachou or Sidou. The second emigration wave to Northern Burgundy from Lithuania, Byelorussia and Ukraine began in 1831 after the aborted insurrection of the Poles in 1830 against their Russian colonial oppressors. Amongst the Polish refugees in Northern Burgundy, I have already mentioned Konstanty Barczewski, born in Lithuania, and Maurycy Mochnacki, born in western Ukraine. The first one was already married when he arrived in Northern Burgundy in 1855, and the second was a bachelor when he died in Auxerre in 1834. Some other Polish refugees, though, married in Northern Burgundy. 2 of them came from Lithuania. The first one was Vincent Trushinsky, born about 1801 in Wiltmerge, Lithuania. His parents were Alexander Trushinsky and Madeleine Kruszewskis. He was a second lieutenant in the Polish cavalry during the insurrection. In France, he became a lock-keeper in the village of Céry in Northern Burgundy. In 1857, he married in Céry Simone Boiseau. He died in Céry in 1886, and he was the father of 1 single son. The second refugee was Kazimir Mierzwiński, born in 1813 in Vilnius. His parents were Jean Mierzwiński and Madeleine Kratunska. He was a non-commissioned officer in the 6th Polish Light Cavalry Regiment. In France, he became locksmith in the city of Joigny in Northern Burgundy. In 1849, he married in Joigny Cécile Émilie Guillaume, and he died after 1864 in an unknown place. He was the father of 5 children. As far as Byelorussia is concerned, no refugee from this part of the former Grand Duchy of Lithuania married in Northern Burgundy. On the other hand, 3 refugees from Ukraine did so. The first one was Dominik Rękiewicz, born in 1806 in Ostrog in the province of Volhynia. His parents were Pierre Rękiewicz and Catherine Runkai. In 1843, he married Marie-Jeanne Martin in Avalon in Northern Burgundy. He died in Paris in 1884, and he was the father of 4 children. The second refugee was Clément Brochniowski, born in 1813 in Orenin in the province of Podolia. His parents were Martin Brochniowski and Caroline Piskorska. In 1851, he married in Auxerre Amélie-Thérèse Jeanne Drouot. He died in 1885 in Saint-Germain-en-Laye near Paris, and he was the father of 3 children. The last refugee was Ignace Charles Maciejowski, born in 1817 in Dopno in the province of Volhynia. His parents were Michel Matejowski and Sophie Pouyevska. In 1851, he married in Auxerre Théodore Marie-Louise Villetard de la Guérie. He died in 1879 in Abbeville in the north of France, and he was the father of one single daughter. The third emigration wave to Northern Burgundy from Lithuania, Byelorussia and Ukraine began during the First World War and continued afterwards until the Second World War. In 1916, the Emperor of Russia, Nicholas II, sent a Russian expeditionary force to France composed of 4 brigades with 44,000 men altogether, which was supposed to help the French on battlefields. The 1st and 3rd Brigades remained in France and fought the Germans, and the 2nd and 4th Brigades were sent to Macedonia and fought the Bulgarians with the French. In 1918, after the October Revolution in Russia, the French disbanded the 4 Russian brigades and employed most of the Russian soldiers as woodcutters. 500 Russian soldiers were sent, therefore, in the forests of Northern Burgundy. Some of them married in Northern Burgundy after the war. The First World War changed the map of Europe to a large extent thanks to 2 major victories. First of all, the Germans defeated Russia in March 1918, and then the French and the British, with American help, defeated Germany and Austria in November 1918. These 2 victories enabled the creation of new republics in Europe like Lithuania and Poland, all extracted from the former Russian, German and Austrian empires. In 1919, the victorious French government signed an economic agreement with Poland which allowed many Poles to come and work in France. Some of them came from Western Ukraine, which had been annexed to Poland in 1921. In 1918, as I said before, 500 Russian soldiers were sent by the French military authority to Northern Burgundy, where they had to work as woodcutters in various forests until the end of the war. No Russian soldier from Lithuania married in Northern Burgundy after the conflict. But one soldier from Byelorussia did so. His name in French was Isidore Matysiak. He was born in 1896 in Ragachov in Byelorussia, and his parents were Eustache Matysiak and Catherine Kostianuk. He arrived in France in 1916, but refused to go back to Byelorussia after the war. In 1919, he married Suzanne Blin in Maille-le-Château in Northern Burgundy, where he began working as a farmer. He became a French citizen in 1934 and died in Maille-le-Château in 1943. He was the father of 2 daughters. 2 soldiers from Ukraine married too. The first one was Terent Stakovsky, born in 1890 in Mariupol in eastern Ukraine. His parents were Nikita Stakovsky and Maria Tumanov. He arrived in France in 1916 as a soldier and became a woodcutter in Saint-Fargeau in Northern Burgundy in 1918. In 1919, he married in Saint-Amand-Puisé Marguerite Augustine Camus, and in 1925 he married in Saint-Fargeau his first wife's sister, Agathe Joséphine Camus. He left Saint-Fargeau after 1926. His first wife had given him 2 children. The second soldier was Pierre Tkach, born in 1895 in Zanietkovo in the province of Podolia. He arrived in France in 1916 as a soldier, too, and became a Russian woodcutter in Saint-Fargeau in Northern Burgundy in 1918. In 1920, he married in Saint-Amand-Puisé Léontine Désirée Camus. He became a French citizen in 1947, and he was the father of 3 daughters. After the First World War, a lot of Polish labourers, both men and women, came to France in order to work in farms and factories. Many of them were born in Western Ukraine, which had been annexed to Poland in 1921. Here is the list, in red letters, of the 17 Ukrainian labourers who married in Northern Burgundy after the war. First of all, 6 men from Ukraine who married French women, then 5 women from Ukraine who married 1 Pole, 1 Czech and 3 Frenchmen, and finally 3 Ukrainian couples married in Northern Burgundy. Here is now a 4th Ukrainian couple who married in Northern Burgundy. You can see on this wedding picture Olena Svistelnutska and Basil Chapura, who married in the city of Sens on the 14th of May 1927. I received this picture recently, sent by a French granddaughter of this foreign couple. As an epilogue, I would like to say a few words now about the current Ukrainian refugees in Northern Burgundy who fled their country aggressed by the Russians in 2022. More than 8 million people have left Ukraine so far, which represents 18% of the whole Ukrainian population. About 120,000 came to France and about 435 are living now in Northern Burgundy. This fourth emigration wave to Northern Burgundy from Ukraine is composed almost exclusively of women and children. Men are still fighting in Ukraine at the moment. One of them, Timothy Shedura, became the symbol of Ukrainian resistance against Russian barbarity. So I will end off my presentation with the very last words this man said before being shot to death by Russian military criminals. Slava Ukraini.